Hey folks, in this video, let's talk about the global space economy. But first, when I think of space tech from an economic viewpoint, I think of frugal innovation by the Indian Space Research Organization or ISRO, which launches space missions on a tight budget, and the American Space Agency, NASA, the global benchmark. In terms of numbers, though, the global space economy is less than 1% of the total global economy. Global GDP is somewhere around $100 trillion. So, compared to that, global space economy is quite small. Roughly speaking, the global space economy can be divided into three major market segments: enabled solutions, space market, and uncontracted costs. We'll look at them one by one. As of end of 2024, the total size of the global space economy was a tad below $600 billion. And by 2033, this is expected to touch almost $1 trillion. Now, enabled solutions part of the space economy makes up the largest portion at over 50%, over $300 billion in size. It includes applications like weather forecasting, remote sensing, satellite navigation, satellite television, etc. Basically, applications and services that use space based infrastructure. We check weather almost on a daily basis, enabled by weather tracking satellites. We use Google Maps almost on a daily basis to drive around. These are just some examples at personal level. Outside of that, there are military applications, applications in commercial shipping space, use cases in fishing industry. The list goes on. Remote sensing is another interesting service. This is the process of collecting and analyzing information about the Earth's surface without direct physical contact. For example, government agencies can use remote sensing, satellite based solutions to monitor land use, manage urban planning or urban growth, monitor vegetation, analyze soil health, crop growth, and so on. So, the enabled solutions market segment creates a ton of value for the users and it reflects in its market size. Then comes the space market segment. It is made up of several sub segments, but even among them, satellite services capture the majority of the share. Note, manufacturing and launch services put together make up barely over 10% of the total space economy. That means most of the value is in services, not in manufacturing. Having said that, unless we manufacture a satellite and launch it into space, we cannot deliver any services. Something to think about. Finally, uncontracted costs make up the remaining portion of the global space economy, which makes up the internal expenses of global space agencies and R&D programs. For example, the American Space Agency, NASA, its annual budget is somewhere around $25 billion. Chinese Space Agency's annual budget is roughly $18 billion, whereas ISRO's annual budget is barely $1.5 billion. ISRO doesn't have a lot to work with when compared with other major global space agencies. And yet, India is one of the few countries that have a functional space program. Look at this list of countries that have operational satellites in orbit. The middle income country, the only middle income country in the list of these high income nations is India. Before we end, let's look at Starlink. This is a good example of how a space based service can generate robust revenue. For a retail customer like you and I, Starlink offers satellite based high speed internet connectivity or high speed internet on the move, no matter where you go. Just take your internet with you. To get Starlink connectivity, one needs to buy some hardware and pay around $120 a month to access the internet service. Already, Starlink has over 5 million users worldwide. That alone brings in over $500 million in revenue for Starlink. Then you add in government contracts, commercial customers, and US military. Starlink is expected to bring in over $11 billion in revenue just this year. And to get here, Starlink has launched so far a constellation of over 6,500 satellites in the orbit. Currently, In total, there are just under 12,000 satellites orbiting the planet that are active. Over half of them belong to Starlink. I hope you found this analysis interesting. I'll speak with you again next week. Until then, take care.